I like this quote by sort of Michelangelo as well, and this notion that we need to set our sights sort of fairly high, and recognizing that the danger is not reaching that target, but missing the mark. This is Keynes Hill School. That's Sally Stanton, the head teacher there. This is a really deprived school in Southampton, a primary school. And I went to visit that school as part of the Beyond Expectations project. And Sally is a dynamic head teacher, and we were walking around the school. And she came across a little boy called Sean. And she said, Sean, she talks to the children as she walks around. She knows all their names, as all good primary heads do. She said, Sean, how's your maths going? And he said, oh, I'm doing much better now, miss. And she said, why is that? And there was this silence, which became this awful silence. And I wanted to jump in and say, it's because of this, probably, or that, probably. Because you can see I could never be a primary teacher. Probably a lot of you are very glad about that. And finally, it seemed like ages, and then he looked at it and he said, perseverance and optimism. I thought, maybe there's something in this wait time. Maybe there's something. And I think, there's a lesson there for us in terms of where we are, not just in Wales, but where you are in BC, where England is, where New Zealand is. That we, as a profession, we have to persevere. We also have to be optimistic about the possibilities of change. Some of you have seen that before. Elephants can fly, so we need to be optimistic about that. The other book I've been reading is The Audacity of Hope by Obama. And there's this one sort of moment in the book where he's visiting a school in the Bronx and he's talking to a group of young people there. And he says to this girl, he says, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? And she says, well, I want to be a hairdresser. And he says, that's great. That's great. He says, and she says, no, it's not. So he pauses and he says, why not? And she says, because I'd hoped for so much more. Oh. And I think that's an important message, that it isn't just about closing that gap and raising the bar. It's about giving people, young people, the hope and aspirations that they deserve, and giving them the options that they deserve. And I like this poem by Seamus Heaney, Irish poet, that basically says, let's hope for a great sea change. But while we're waiting, let's continue with the work, because the work is making a difference. Your work in BC is making a difference. We hope that our work in Wales will make a difference. And I come back to where I started. The T.S. Eliot poem, you arrive at where you started and know the place for the first time. And it seems to me that we have to keep in mind, whatever happens, whatever politicians throw at us, whatever the economic climate, this absolute moral purpose that we can make a difference. Because we can, and we do on a daily basis. And this is Ron Edmonds talking in the 1970s about the opportunity to change those outcomes for young people, just by having the sheer belief and the fortitude that we can make that difference. And ultimately, it's not about hope, it's not about optimism, it is about belief. It's about the absolute conviction that on a daily basis you make a difference, independently, collectively. This is why we're in this profession, and no other, because we do make a difference. And I believe that we can make a difference, both in Wales, continue to make a difference in BC, to ensure that we do achieve the absolute best for every child in every setting. That's my website if you'd like to send money or any comments. I'd be enormously grateful. I think I may have told you this story before, but I'll finish on it. It's about a maths teacher, and he's being observed by me. And at the end of the lesson, he turns to his class and he says, now then, do you understand simultaneous linear equations or something like that any better as a result of this lesson? Absolute silence. So he shifts on his feet and he says, are you sure you don't understand? Absolute silence. Then finally, it seems like forever, one little girl puts her hand up and she says, "No, sir, but I am confused on a much higher plane." So, if I've confused you, BC, I just hope it's on a much higher plane. Thank you for having me back. Keep up the good work.